are you? You're all right? Hang on. No one's here. I'll take this off. Happy St. Patrick's Day, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a while since you've been down here in this bar, but we figured tonight we'd do something a little bit special. So, we're bringing St. Patrick's Day to you virtually, and hopefully, with a bit of the Irish look, we'll be back down here together soon. So I've got a nice glass of whiskey. So what that one is, this is what we're going to start out with the band. This is the official Irish whiskey of the legendary band, The Pogues. How about one of them? You got one of them songs for us? Can you give us a bit of The Pogues, please?
Pogues? How would you like Dirty Old Town?
Oh, I love that song, Dirty Old Town. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
All right, Rob. It's Pogues whiskey you've got. I'm at my house, I guess walks around. Dream a dream at the old canal. I kiss my girl by the factory park. The old town, the old town. Clouds are drifting across the road. Cats are howling on their beat. Spanning's a girl from the streets at night. Oh, the old town, oh, the old town. Heard a siren from the cross. Saw a train set the night on fire. I smelt the spring from the smoky rain. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Tonight, we at the chariots, shining steel, tempered in the fire. I'll chop you down like a mountain tree. Dirty old town, dirty old town. He's a center out, he's a number 4. Watching defense, and we watch him score. He'll pass the ball, down as he runs. He's Virgil van Dijk, he's Virgil van Dijk. That was for Rob. I'm at my love, I the gas won't slow. Dream a dream by the old canal. I kiss my girl by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Oh, that'll be the Pogues. Now, we do go round and come on, you lads. You're made for the crack. And, it would be absolutely remiss of me to go through this without singing a song about whiskey, lads. Oh yes, for there's whiskey in the jar that goes in this. So he was going along the Cotton Clear Mountains. Captain Battle and the sea he was coming. Produce me pistol, I can produce me liquid. Say stand and deliver, you are able to see her. Sure, I'm gonna do it. Follow the daddy-o, I follow the daddy-o, this whiskey in the jar. What don't you do this morning? I laid a pretty penny. I put it in me pocket and I brought it down to she saw me and she swore that she never would see me. But they do take them women, but they never can be easy. But sure, back for the daddy-o, Christmas tree in the jar. We went to Jenny's chamber, offered to take a slumber. Later at the golden jewels and Fisher's was no wonder. But Jenny to the charges, she filled them up with water and sent for Captain Crackle till he ready for the slaughter. We're sure follow the daddy-o, follow the daddy-o, that's whiskey in the jar. It was early in the morning, just before I rose to try. Up came a band of footmen, and likewise Captain Fenn. I first produced me pistol, as she stole away my gun. But I couldn't shoot the walker, so a prisoner I was taken, was sure Hey! Back for the daddy-o, back for the daddy-o, that's whiskey in the jar. I it's me brother and the army. If I only knew the station being conquered and command. If he come and say me, then go over and come. Why don't he take me back at any transport engine? Or share in my back for the daddy-o, this whiskey in the jar. The sun and the night, and the fish and the fowl. Others take the light and the cannonball roll. But me, I take the light and the juice of the wine. I'm courting pretty fair minutes in the morning, but I sure am not follow the daddy-o, follow the daddy-o, this whiskey in the jar. Sure am not follow the daddy-o, follow the daddy-o, this whiskey in the jar. Yes, there is. Hey! Oh, it's put me in right mind to have a whiskey. What do we have here? From my own hometown of Dublin, we have Jameson's triple distilled whiskey, lads. You see, that's how you can tell the difference between Irish whiskey and Scotch. Not just because of the smoky taste, but you see, Irish whiskey is triple distilled, normally in single copper pots, whereas Scotch is only double distilled in tower stills, which is why Irish whiskey is always smoothest. So, ladies and gentlemen, agree to Ushman, slán to what?
What was that, bud? Going up north. That's a great shout. All right, so we're heading up north now. This is Bushmills. Now, this, to me, is one of the smoothest things to ever come off that side of the pond. So this, to me, is a lovely little drink. It's a nice little smoothing from up on the Antrim coast up there. Giant's Causeway, Carrickferrer Oak Bridge. I'm probably butchering that, but tell you what, I know the whiskey. That's what we call breakfast back at home, ladies and gentlemen. What do you reckon, eh? Give us another song.
It's a song called A Hot Asphalt, and it goes like this. Well, get deep now, we don't that's a got to fight about. And if you gather together, then we never just won't be no time. For the situation that we got around the yard. Like a misbelief that we can wait to play until in bar. The time has come, that's over, so it's had up in it before. After happened like the land boys were home. and I think it take the time. I'm on my heavy stone, I'm a dipping in the motion, you can hear the master groan. I think himself are right, he's looking like a runner, and you can run here for not to go the hay. First is on the work, the easy one, to buy until the next, and still the next, and those who go hush, we made it in the hollows, we made it in the flat, out of the tools and that's for love. We swear that we have, we wonder that we know we're never sure of never right, and he's up the step was equal to a hush. Get up! My young and talk about just in your house, and it's years on your bus. She'll make yours and your tail is what we use to use bus. You know the bones and your bones, I think he has some nuts. That's around the boy, I'm making up. Hush that. Drag up and you must go control. I can't be that the cow. Now for scientific purposes, we know to do so. But if you always in the house, I'm going to do the part. There's a minor to the Irish like hush that. We made it in the house, we made it in the flat. Out of the tools and dust wherever shoulders were. We're hungry up and down the road, shoulder wherever that. And he's up the set was equal to a hush that. We made it in the house, we made it in the flat. Out of the tools and dust wherever we stood we had. We're hungry up and down the road, shoulder wherever that. And he's up the set was equal to a hush that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a song called A Hot Asphalt. I'm going to carry on now with another old song. And this is a song that actually dates back to the early 1800s. And it was written as a protest against the recruitment of Irishmen during the Napoleonic Wars. And it's a song that I learned from the singing of the wonderful Andy Irvine. And a song called The Ballad of Arthur McBride. And it goes like this. In a night first around and by the seaside, the second good fortune that might be time, just as the day was at dawn. Then after resting we both began to run, when we met Sergeant Harper and Harper Broken. He says the way forward, he went up the camp, till his rain fell down in the morning. He said, oh, fellas, if you will listen, give me your quickly shall get to your fist. He said, he's a good for to pick up the bus and take the trains out in the morning. Like a soldier, he needs a very fine life. He always is blessed with a charming old wife. He brings on his guts with a subtle strength, and always lives happy and charming. Sergeant, I'm on the first sight. Wait a minute, we'll search bargain in the way on the way. Up through the frequency, don't get the sign. Although the terrific is charming, I feel such bills as to take the advance. It's right the decent and the good, the other chance. The king with was rules, what's in the stands, where we would be shot till morning. This is the sergeant for the one word. I instantly now will with my soul. Into your bodies, a sprinkle of thorn. So now the gate doubles, take warning. But after and I, we took the odds. We gave the launch shots for to launch at their swords. Their occasion ladies coming over their heads, and pain right smart in the morning. Ha! As for the rubber, we went for his couch. We made a football of his empty toe. And into the ocean to walk out to roll, and by the emptiness return. As far as the only bear that hung by his side, we flung it as far as we could in the tide. With the wind reaches his heart from the right, take temper your sleep in the morning. Hey! A man needs a drink after all of that. So I wish you sláinte what? Oh, that's good. No! Me belly thinks me throat's cut. Oh, there we go. Now we're sucking diesel, lads. Good of meal, Margaret. That's Irish, thank you very much. Sláinte.
You're back.
Well, cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Sláinte and a happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to take a quick sip. I'd like a virtual round of applause, please, for Mr. Colm O'Brien, our virtual singer for the evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone here again at Millennium Tower, we are sorry that we still can't be together in person down here in the bar, but we hope that we've put a smile on your face. And again, like I mentioned in the intro, with a little bit of the Irish look, we will be back together soon and in person. So, yes, I've got a nice pint of Guinness. Colm's just had one. So here's what I'm going to teach you. If ever you've got a can of Guinness, there's a certain way that you need to pour it. So take a little look at this. This is how you pour the perfect pint of Guinness from a can. I'm going to demask again a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach you how to pour the perfect can of Guinness. So the biggest thing that you need to do is make sure that when you're opening it up, you let it settle for a second. Now, take a look at the glass. So what happens is, we pour it right into the glass and you tip it upside down and you leave it. So now what happens is the liquid starts to settle, and because the glass is inside, or the can is inside the glass, it'll start to settle around it. Then gently you pour it up a little bit further. Now you have to hold the can. Once it starts getting just underneath that Guinness sign, you hold it right there and you let it settle again once more. As that starts to settle, you bring it up and you lift it up another little third, and we take it just towards the top of the heart. You let that can settle, and that is truly how you pour the main can of Guinness in a glass.
Now, have a look at the colour on that. And now, I know that you can't taste it and you can't smell it. Oh, trust me, there's a little bit of Dublin in every sip of this. Oh. Sláinte what?
Perfect. So now from a can of Guinness to a little bit of whiskey. Now that combination definitely tastes like St. Patrick's Day. So we've got a Guinness to a whiskey. Now, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, truly what that makes me feel like doing is dancing. And for some of you that know me, I am a dancer. But unfortunately, in the year 2020, I haven't been able to do much dancing. So I'm not going to dance for you this evening. But here's our next little surprise. I've brought in some friends of mine for a little bit of Irish dancing.
Fair play to you, lads. That was very good. But do you usually dance to no music? Have a go with this.
All right, well, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the O'Shea Chaplin Irish School of Dance. Well, technically, it was only 3 of them. Because of COVID restrictions and what we wanted to do, we made sure that we were safe in your space. I love the green masks. In addition, we can maybe get them out as standard going forward. Now, I would love for the opportunity to take us over to Newton. So this is BostonIrishDance.com. And again, this is the extended school. So we went out to film with them because we couldn't bring them here in person. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy some more Irish dancing. Hi. You all look lovely. How you doing? For those of you who went with me last week.
Or the middle track, whatever. And so Grace will do an arm around. Sarah will jump in right after that. But please stand still because you're doing video.
That honestly brings a bit of a tear to my eye. The O'Shea Chaplin Irish School of Dance. They are based here in Boston, and it's bostonirishschool.com or bostonirishDance.com. We'll be able to get the details of that, and then hopefully this time next year we'll be able to have them in here in person. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take another little sip. This is Slane Irish whiskey. So, a couple of different things. We've gone right the way through within the different whiskies. This to me is one of the smoothest things. Now, I am not going to do this justice, so I'm going to invite now virtually my friend Becky, who is the Boston rep. So she looks after everything here in the New England region. So I'm going to hand it over to her to tell us a little story about the history of Slane. Now, if you were able to come and pick one of these up from the Club Concierge, then perfect. I want you to crack that open and taste that with us. And if not, that means you've got to go back, fast forward to this section in the video a little bit later, and we'll be able to cheers for the rest of this week. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Slane Irish Whiskey. Becky, it's over to you.
How are you guys? My name is Rebecca Gardner and I am the brand ambassador for Slane Irish Whiskey. We're going to start off this lesson with a story that involves my childhood, me as a kid, and mostly any Irish country person, to be honest. When I was growing up in Ireland, and I'm from a very small village in the west of Ireland, when I was growing up in Ireland, I was given a week off school. You can imagine my excitement as a toddler getting a week off school for what I assumed was no apparent reason. And then when I grew up, I realized this week off school isn't a midterm break, it's steeped in history, and it's my granddad and my great-granddad and all of my farming background. That week off school was the spring equinox. So what the spring equinox means and meant to Ireland is the end of a very dreary, drab winter and the start of a prosperous spring and summer. So truly, Celtic Ireland and modern day Ireland is kind of no different. We all needed and celebrated the same thing. Now, the only difference is, in Celtic Ireland, how the spring equinox was signified was with the lighting of the Paschal fire. The Paschal fire would be lit on the hill of Slane in County Meath in Ireland. King Laura had given you the heads up to go and farm, to go make your money, to go have a prosperous spring, summer, and that way you could gear up for yet another dreary winter in Ireland. Growing up for me, we didn't have that fire. But the stories of that fire were told to me in school and told to me around fireplaces in my own family. Patrick for Ireland was one act of defiance, and that is why he is such a huge part of Irish history today. So back in 433, Patrick had just come to Ireland. And, as I said previously, Ireland was ruled by a pagan king called King Laura. Laura and his druid lords overlooked everything. Now, Laura was a little bit of a selfish man, and he decided instead of lighting the spring equinox fire, or the Paschal fire as we call it in Ireland, he wanted to celebrate himself. And he had a week-long party of shenanigans and music and booze. And while the Irish people waiting to start their harvest and waiting to prosper for the spring to come, had to watch him celebrate in dismay. So Patrick could see that this was happening, and so what Patrick did was he decided, I am going to climb the hill of Slane, and I'm going to light that fire so that the people in Ireland can actually get on with their lives and don't need to be ruled. And so when he climbed that fire and lit it lit so bright that the Druid lords ran to King Laura and said, you need to quench this fire. Because if you do not quench this fire, you will lose the hold of your country. And so Laura went running to the fire. And as he got to the fire, desperately trying to quench it, he realized that the fire had magical properties, or at least it must have. He could not quench it. Try as he might, the grass around it was green as most of my country. The fire burnt as bright as 1,000 stars, and he couldn't quench it. So when I was told this story in Ireland, by my own grandparents and my own father, who's still telling that story to his grandkids today, when I was told this story, I was told that that moment was the moment that modern day Ireland began. And when you think about it, his act of defiance is no different to what we're doing here in Slane. We have our own little act of defiance. But look, it wouldn't be an Irish whiskey tasting unless we decided to give you a few more stories. We're going to jump forward from 433 AD to 1690 to the Battle of the Boyne. Now, the Battle of the Boyne was a huge battle in Ireland right on the banks of Boyne River. And the Boyne River runs directly through the centre of the country through County Meath, which is where this wonderful dram of whiskey is from. During that battle, the Cunninghams fought on the winning side, and they were given a plot of land, and that plot of land is where the castle of Slane stands today. And that castle and the village itself was actually built by the Cunninghams. Everything was mapped out with a concept of community and grassroots. So if you go to visit that castle today, as you drive in, and there's a beautiful castle in front of you, two beautiful green lush lawns on either side. On the right hand side you'll see what is the old stable house. That old stable house is actually now the house of our distillery, our incredibly unique distillery. Another own act of defiance. So what happened was, when you try to put something in a listed building, apparently you're not allowed to knock down the walls. So you get this really interesting distillery, not like anything you've really been to. Our pot stills are a different size because we couldn't quite fit them in. Our column stills are very slightly different. What's amazing about this distillery is it was actually all designed by the founder of Slane, Alex Cunningham. Except for a couple of volts here and there, the man pretty much got it right. And in my opinion, got it right with the whiskey as well. I'm sure you've all heard of the awful time in Ireland called the Troubles. Now, the Troubles was a very turbulent time in Ireland, especially around the early 80s. And the Lord of Slane Castle, Lord Henry Cunningham, decided what better way to unite a divided country than through music? And he's right. We've all been to an Irish bar where someone starts singing because they've had one too many. He put a concert on the grounds of his Slane Castle to the tune of 18,000 people. And that first headliner was Thin Lizzy, a phenomenal Irish act. And the support group for that first concert was U2. Needless to say, Slane has always been a household name in Ireland. So when the whiskey came out, it made sense that people would reach for a bottle. The concert series that has been on the grounds of Slane Castle for now nearly 40 years is a household name. I remember bribing my mum that if I got good enough grades in school, she'd buy me tickets. And she did, so it was great. We all have a history with this brand. We all have a history with the castle or the grounds or what the family is doing for the surrounding land. If you look at the River Boyne, which is where one of our main water supplies for Slane whiskey, over years the salmon couldn't get too far up that river anymore. It's an old protected river by the Government of Ireland. Slane decided, and the family decided, we were going to put salmon ladders in the river so those salmon could get back further upstream, the furthest they've been in hundreds of years. The energy we use in the distillation process in Slane is harvested to heat the castle. We're trying to be very aware of our sustainable practices, which is another act of defiance by us. Moving forward to who we are and what Slane is, our biggest act of defiance is our triple cask maturation process. What that means is we take 3 different barrels and we fill them full of whiskey and we blend at the end so we get this wonderful dram in front of you today. So that first barrel is going to be a virgin oak barrel, American virgin oak. So that's gonna give you those big vanilla flavors. If you take that glass to your nose, that's just smacks full of vanilla, and it's gonna get you every time. It's a wonderful, wonderful nose on this whiskey. Now, if you take that dram to your lips, the first drink you're gonna get, or the first flavor profile you're gonna get on that, is big caramel, big butterscotch notes. And that's because of the second barrel that we use in our triple cask maturation. And that's an ex-seasoned barrel. Now look, Scottish and Irish people absolutely adore that you guys don't use your whiskey barrels more than once. So we say, send them over. And that's what you guys did, and we got to play with it. So we get this great flavor profile of this ex-seasoned American Tennessee whiskey barrel. Now, whiskey is subjective. So if you don't get this flavor, that's completely fine, but I do. So for me, the biggest flavor on that seasoned barrel is big, ripe banana. You wanna pair this with banana bread, it's heaven. It's just so sweet and ripe. Now what's wonderful about this dram as well is that third barrel, that's gonna be my favorite all day. So that third barrel is an Oloroso sherry barrel, direct from Jerez in Spain. And this is something very different for an Irish whiskey. To use 3 barrels and then use the sherry on the end, and that finish just lingers with you because of that sherry barrel. On the very front of your mouth, for me, I get a little bit of spice that just melts into caramelized sugar on the end. Warms the soul a little, which is any good Irish whiskey should truly warm your soul a bit. So, we've been chatting about Slane now for a minute, and I hope you've learned a thing or two, and I hope you're kind of hatching some plans to create your own cocktails, which I know most people are happy to be an at-home bartender. Now that we've discussed the stories of Slane, and we've talked through the flavor profile of it, let's talk cocktails. We all have a cocktail that we know and love. We all have a cocktail that we're super comfortable and confident making at home in our own bar. So what's your favorite cocktail? Because for me, it depends on my mood. For me, I love an Irish coffee. I think the robust flavor of Irish coffee and the slightly sweetness with that spice flavor coming through on the Slane is a phenomenal cocktail. I also love a classic cocktail with Slane. I love a Slane Old Fashioned. That cherry flavor and the Slane really pulls through in an Old Fashioned. I love something a little more exotic. I love a Slane Otterhound where you get to use port, or a New York sour with the leftover of your red wine that you swore you were gonna drink or use and you never used it, you didn't put it in the pasta. Make your Slane sour, it works a treat. But the truth be told, I'm a little bit of a purist with my Slane. If I'm sitting at home on a cold New England evening, I kind of just like my Slane neat. It's a great dram with a phenomenal flavor profile. So for me, I love my cocktails when I'm out, but at home, which is where we've all been for most of these last few months, I love a neat pour of Slane. A great flavor, warms the soul. Guys, thank you so much for this. It's been so wonderful to share some stories of Slane with you, and I cannot wait to share a dram of Slane in person real soon. Have a great night. Sláinte.
Well, we figured we'd give you a little bit of education on the brand Slane Irish Whiskey. Now, they are part of the Brown-Forman family as well, which is a proud owner of Jack Daniel's Distillery. So hopefully, going forward, we'd love to hear your feedback and we can continue to grow further down the line. So I'll have that dram of Slane just now. That's tasty. So the biggest thing that I'd like to say is thank you to each and every one of you this evening for tuning in. So on behalf of every single one of us here at Millennium Tower, all of the staff, even at Millennium Partners and all of the ownership, we'd like to wish you a final time a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Now, we do look forward to hopefully launching Virtual Levee, and that's something that we've done this evening. But the next little bit of the series, we've got various different things planned for various kind of Virtual Levee pieces going forward. The next little thing that we're going to be doing is called Meet Your Neighbor. So Meet Your Neighbor series is going to be coming to you real soon, and we should be releasing that first episode next month. So if you can, and you did enjoy this evening, you can share that. What we will do is we'll follow up with a link once this is offline, and once it's stopped being live, we will upload it to a new YouTube channel where all of our Virtual Levee platforms and videos will be living going forward. So That is going to be uploaded. So if you didn't get a chance to grab a thing of Slane from us this evening, they will be available for the next couple of days. You can rewatch and repost and go over the education again. So yeah, look out for Meet Your Neighbor. Look out for Virtual LaVie. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out the show just now because we're at about 6:45. So you can go and get another drink and do what it is that you need to do. If you want to continue your St. Patrick's Day party, the Dropkick Murphys are actually going to be going live now for a concert at 7 p.m. here Eastern Standard Time in Boston. So the Dropkick Murphys are going live for you, and that is going to be at dropkickmurphys.com. You can head on over to their website and check that out. That starts in about 15 minutes' time. All right? So once again, I'm going back to me pint of Guinness. Ladies and gentlemen, Sláinte.